Now let us go into what is a center manifold theorem and why we want to learn that. Okay, so if for nonlinear systems, for example, if we consider a nonlinear system, x dot is equal to f of x element of Rn. There are n eigenvalues. It is an n vector space. So if there are some k eigenvalues with zero real parts, and then n minus k eigenvalues with negative real parts. So we are going to deal with systems with k eigenvalues, some eigenvalues with zero real parts and some eigenvalues with negative real parts. Okay, so we will not think about systems with positive real parts, because if we have at least one real part, positive real part in a system, we can say that as a whole the system is unstable. So we are going to think about systems which has zero real parts when we after linearizing the system. So as such we know that for a for a system with zero real parts after linearization, we cannot speak much about the stability of the system, because a system with a center manifold is a structurally unstable system. Okay, so we are going to deal with systems with a stable manifold as well as a center manifold. So if you have to know that if there is a center manifold in a system, the linearization that we have done is not good. Okay, so we have to relook at the problem once again, or we have to study the nonlinear system as a whole, and we have to use many other different linearization techniques or other techniques to study the stability of the system. But the center manifold theorem helps us in working at a lower dimensional problem to study the stability of the system. So we will be looking, the idea here is to study a lower dimensional problem where we will be thinking about a dimension. The order of the system would be equal to k, where k is the number of eigenvalues of the linearized system with zero real parts. Okay, so that is the advantage of the center manifold theorem. Okay, so now we will go to the actual problem. We have x dot is equal to f of x dot is equal to f of x element of Rn, element of Rn. What is the Jacobian of the system? I can write J as equal to dou f by dou x, and this implies if 0 0 is the equilibrium point of the system, I can write it as f of 0 equal to 0. So 0 0 is the equilibrium point of the system, so I can write A is J at 0 comma 0. Okay, 0 comma 0 I have just written as 0 comma 0, assuming that there are only x and y terms for the system. Okay, so I have x dot is equal to f of x. So I am going to rewrite it in a different form. X dot is equal to ax plus f of x minus a of x. Is that correct? Okay, x dot is equal to ax plus x minus a of x. Okay, so this can be written as ax plus we can take these two terms together and call it as f tilde of x, f tilde of x. Okay, so where we can also state that f tilde of 0 is equal to 0 and dou f tilde by dou x at 0 is also equal to 0. Okay, so and 0 0 is the equilibrium point of the system. So now A is a matrix with k eigenvalues with zero real parts, and n minus k eigenvalues with negative real parts. Okay, suppose if A is a diagonal matrix, n minus k I will write it as m. If A is a diagonal matrix, then our problem would have been easier. So I can write it as I can group the 0 real parts together, and I can call it as some A1 matrix 0 and 0, and this I can call it as an A2 matrix with negative real parts. So where A1 would be all zeros here, everything would be zeros here, all the eigenvalues are zeros here, this is also 0, this is also 0, and A2 would be lambda i's, lambda 1, lambda 2, etc. up to lambda m, where lambda I 1 to lambda m are negative. These are lambda 1, etc. up to lambda m are negative. Okay, so now A usually will not be of this beautiful form. So we may have to make some linear transformation of this A matrix to bring it to this form. Okay. So a linear transformation will not change the characteristics of the system. So we can directly make a linear transformation here. So let us define a transformation which is P is equal to, we'll make a linear transformation here. We'll make a linear transformation here. Linear transformation here. P is equal to mx. Let us define P as is equal to mx. So this implies x is equal to m inverse of x, m inverse of P. We'll take m inverse as some t, transformation t into P. Okay, so I can get P dot as equal to t inverse at into P, where we can call this as some a hat of P. A hat of P. Okay, is that fine? So where a hat will be of this form. A hat will be of this form. This would be a hat. A hat would be of this form. Where a hat would be of this form. Would be of this form. This is A1, A2, 0, zeros. Where A1 is a K by K matrix and A2 is an M by M matrix. M by M matrix. Okay. So this is about the linear transformation. We have made the transformation and now we get a new system here where P can be defined as some y1, y2, etc. up to yk, and with k values corresponding to the 0 real parts, and after making the transformation, P would be something, instead of x1, x2, etc. up to xn, we made a transformation as P1, P2, P3, etc. up to Pn, where the first k terms, let me denote as y1, etc. up to yk, and the rest of the n terms, yk plus 1, 2, etc. we are going to denote it as z1, z2, etc. up to zm. So this can be in general represented as and y and z. Okay, this is represented as y z. Okay, so P is something like this. Okay, so we get the after the transformation, our system equation x dot is equal to ax plus f tilde of x would be of the form, can be written in this form: y dot is equal to a1 into y plus g1 of y comma z, and z dot is equal to a2 into y plus g2 of y comma z. g2 of y comma z, where g1 and g2 has a property that it's very important. This property is very important. Gi of 0 comma 0, that means gi of y comma z equal to 0, and dou gi by dou y at 0 comma 0 equal to 0, and dou gi by dou z at 0 is also equal to 0. Okay, so this is the condition. Okay, now we can write here that so if this is the transformed variables y and z. Now if I can define z as some let z, so this is y and z, y corresponds to the values where we have 0 real parts. Okay, y corresponds to the vectors which corresponds to 0 real parts, and z corresponds to negative real parts. So I can have a center manifold here, right? I can have a center manifold here in the y z axis here. So where, let me write this, let the center manifold be defined as z is equal to, let us define some relation between z and y as z is equal to h of y. So z is equal to h of y. We can call z is equal to h of y as a center manifold if this condition is satisfied. Okay, and if this h is a smooth function. If I can define a relation between z and h of y as a center manifold and an invariant manifold, if I start from z0 and if I start from z of 0, then I remain here, that means z of h of y0 if I am in the center manifold, and for all time t, zt is also in the center manifold, then I can say that it is an invariant manifold. So we have a theorem which says that if I define a function z is equal to h of y, will be the center manifold for this system if these conditions are satisfied, as well as A1 is a matrix with 0 real parts and A2 is a matrix with eigenvalues as negative real parts. Okay, so we will look at the first theorem here. If G1 and G2 are continuously differentiable and satisfy this condition, which we have written here, this condition, and then the second thing is all the eigenvalues of A1 are having 0 real parts and all the eigenvalues of A2 have negative real parts, then there exists a constant delta greater than 0 and a continuously differentiable function h of y defined for all y such that z is equal to h of y is a center manifold for this function. That means this is a center manifold for this equation. That means the transformed equation. Okay, so we can say that we have just defined this center manifold equation and we say that we have transformed the actual equation using this transformation to this form, and we say that if I define some function z of t as h of y of t, that is a center manifold if this condition is satisfied. That is a theorem which we will state without proof here, and this is what is the definition for a center manifold. Okay, so now we will move a little bit forward and see how to solve this center manifold equation. And see here, so here I have y dot here. So we are going to, what we said here is the idea of the center manifold theorem is to look at a lower dimensional problem. So we are going to look at a lower dimensional problem, right? So we will go a lower dimensional problem of order k. So that means we are going to look at this equation. So we are going to look at this equation only and see what happens to the system. Okay, and study the dynamics of the system. So we will look at this equation. So we will look at the lower dimension equation. Y dot is equal to a1 into y plus g1 into y comma z. So z we have defined as z is equal to h of y. Okay, where z is equal to h of y is the center manifold for this system. Okay, so this I can write it as a1 into y plus g1 into y comma h of y. Okay, so this is y dot. So we have to find out the equation, we have to find out what h of y is. For that we will see z dot. We will also have to see, we have to substitute z dot also in this, and we will look at a lower dimensional problem here. So what is z dot here? Z dot is equal to, this is y dot. Now we know that z dot is equal to h dot of y. This is equal to dou h by dou y into y dot, right? So this can be written as, so what is z dot? This implies z dot is equal to a2 into z plus g2 into y comma h of g2 into y comma z is equal to this dou h by dou y into y dot. Y dot is this equation a1 into y plus g1 into y comma h of y. Okay, so we will substitute, instead of z we will substitute the center manifold equation here. So we have, this is into h of y plus g2 into y comma h of y minus dou h by dou y into a1y plus g1 into y comma h of y equal to 0. So we end up with an equation like this, which is a partial differential equation, which we can solve here. This is not difficult to solve. So this is a PDE which can be solved to find out what is h of y. We can find out h of y, and this we can write it as some zeta of x or zeta of y equal to 0, or zeta of y equal to 0, which is a function of h of y, right? So this is the equation for the center manifold partial differential equation, which can be solved to find out h of y. So once we get h of y, we can go and look at this equation alone. Once we find out h of y, we can substitute h of y in this equation, and then instead of z we can substitute h of y in y dot and study the dynamics of the, or we can solve for y from this equation and see whether y is a converging system or whether y is a system which is a stable system. Okay, so that is about the center manifold theorem. So we have the conclusion here. So if I am able to find out an z is equal to h of y, which is a center manifold for this equation, the transformed equation z dot y dot and z dot equal to this form. If I can find out z is equal to h of y, which is a center manifold for this equation, and if I get a partial differential equation, if I am able to find out h of y from this, I can substitute h of y in y dot and find out the dynamics of the system of this k-dimensional problem. Okay, so we will wind up the session by stating the theorems based on this, which says that, so we have this system here, y dot is equal to y dot. Once we find out h of y, we get y dot is equal to a1 into y plus g1 into y comma h of y. So h of y is some function which is a value, for example, h of y is some 2y squared. It is h of y. So we substitute instead of z h of y as 2y squared in this equation. So we end up with terms in y dot and y, so that we can solve this equation and find out y and see whether y is a converging function. or we can use another method for finding out the stability of this y of this equation. That means we can use the Lyapunov function v of y. We can choose some Lyapunov function v of y as equal to some y squared by 2 or y squared by 4, and then we can go for some v dot of y and check the stability of this equation. And if v dot of y is less than or equal to 0, we can say that the system is just stable, and if v dot of y is less than 0, we can say that the system is asymptotically stable. Asymptotically stable. Okay, so that's about this system. So the theorem has been stated here. So we are going to study based upon using the center manifold theorem. What it says that we will study the k-dimensional equation y dot is equal to a1y plus g1 into y, g1 of y comma h of y, and see whether it is stable. And if this system is stable, asymptotically stable, then our original system, which is x dot is equal to f of x, is also asymptotically stable. And if this system is unstable, then we can say that the original system is also unstable. So this is what this theorem says that. So we will study this k-dimensional problem. The only it is not difficult, only thing is that we have to just transform the equations and choose some z is equal to h of y. Okay, and then there is another theorem also which says that we can use the Lyapunov functions for finding out the stability of the system, which is also stated in the next as a corollary for this. So it says that if this is the reduced system, and if we can define a Lyapunov function v of y such that if v dot of x is less than or equal to 0, then the system is stable. Then the system is stable. That is, v dot of y is equal to dou v by dou y into y dot. If it is less than or equal to 0, then the system is stable. And the reverse condition is also 0. Also true. That means if this system is asymptotically stable, or that means if this system can be asymptotically stable only if the original system is asymptotically stable. Okay, that means the reduced system that we got is asymptotically stable only if the original system is also asymptotically stable. So that is about the center manifold theorem. So we will do problems based on this, so that you will get a better understanding of the center manifold theorem. I will also give the references for where I have looked into it in the next during the problem session. Okay, so this is the theorem. Okay, thank you.